are Confessional Magazine, and this is More to the Story, brought to you today by Iris and Bo, whose toner helps keep my laugh lines in check, because you never know what our guests are going to say. Visit irisandbo.com today and use code CONFESSIONAL for 20% off.
So much love in this heart of mine.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Confessional Magazine. I'm Taylor, and I'm here today with the wonderfully amazing Nyemade Boiwu. I think I just messed up your name, even though we just went over it.
You did, but it's okay. It's okay. It was close.
So introduce yourself.
So my name is Nyemade Boiwu. It was really close. I'm Nyemade Boiwu.
And Nyemade is calling us today from, I believe, Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
And she is an amazing person and just giving so much back to the community and just reaching out to all of these different people of every different walk of life. She is the person to come to for humor and connecting you to what really matters in life. And that is why she is the executive director for Every Man Counts. And we're going to learn about that. And she co-hosts More Than My Size, which is a web show. And she's a creator for National Plus Guide. And she is a peer advocate for NAMIDelaware, which is the National Alliance for Mental Illness, which is just such a great thing to be a part of. So I just can't wait to get to know you a little bit better. So how did you first, get into the world of putting yourself out there to connect with others in this way?
I'll try to shorten the story. Long story long. There's no way to make it too much shorter. So I lived in Florida for a while. I grew up in upstate New York, but I moved to Florida. And I lived there for about 12 years. And getting close to my 30th birthday, I kind of had where am I going in life? What's my purpose? What's my direction? I had been at my corporate job for a while, but it really wasn't fulfilling me. And at first, because when I was younger, I was one of those annoying overachievers in high school, part of every club and doing all the extracurriculars. And I had purposely, when I moved to Florida, was I'm just going to be young and have fun and be free. And I did that. Don't regret it. It was super fun. But I was getting around the time where I'm okay, so now what? What's my purpose? And I had things that I always knew that I was interested in, connecting with people, talking to people. But I also was one of those people who's maybe when I'm smaller, I'll do this. When I'm smaller, I'll do that. And I was at the time just sort of working on my fitness a little bit too. And I happened across Cece Olisa's YouTube page. And she has a saying, don't wait on your weight to live the life that you want. And when I tell you, it was boom, light switch, one of those
I just got chills.
moments I had. So I was that's exactly what I'm doing. And I was well, I'm not doing it anymore. My size doesn't, change from my personality. It doesn't change from my brain. So I'm just going to put myself out there. The stuff I want to do, I'm just going to do it. So then I sat down. I was well, what am I really good at? And what do I enjoy doing? Because I think that's one of the great things about the time that we live in right now is that people don't feel as boxed in to do certain jobs. You can literally find your passion and find a way to make a career out of that for you. And I think also a lot of times, especially for me, sometimes we don't realize that our gifts are talents because they come easily to us. So we're it's just this thing I do. So I've always been good at communication, just putting stuff in a way that people understand and the way that people are able to take in. And strangers love talking to me even when I don't want to talk to them. I'll just make eye contact with someone and they'll tell me their life story. So I'm okay. So instead of just thinking of it as oh, it's just this thing I can do, I'm this is an actual gift and talent I was blessed with and I enjoy it. So how can I turn that into something that I could possibly earn from? So then I just started the different communication styles that I like. So writing, doing social media, interviews and things like that. And then I decided to just start putting myself out there. I looked up people who were doing similar things and what they were doing. It's hard sometimes, especially because at this point now I'm in my early 30s, to sort of get your foot in the door with some people who have gone to school for it and been doing it for years. But the thing I love about social media is that you don't have to find a seat at the table. You can literally make your own table. And then eventually people will start asking to sit at your table. You just have to keep working at it. So that's what I did. I wrote out my list, figured out where I want to go, figured out the paths I needed to get there. And I've just been sort of chipping away at it since then.
And you really have, and your content is so like engaging, and it makes people like, I don't know, so many times I find myself resharing things that you're posting, and I'm not even thinking twice about like the repost. I'm just like, this is it, that's the one. It's something that needs to be shared. So when it comes to talking about mental health, and I know that like I'm a bigger person myself, and that my size has definitely affected my mental health throughout the years. And it kind of creates a wall that, like you said, you kind of think like, I'm not worthy almost. It can feel like at times that like nobody wants to see me. But
Yeah.
how can you like, what I guess advice would you give to somebody like us that wants to maybe have that confidence or find that confidence and break those walls of self-doubt
Mhm.
that, you know, kind of get thrown on ourselves?
Yeah, I think you just really have to dig deep, which sounds easier than it is. Something that, well, some things that I say to myself, so I'm one of those big on the quotes and the cliches, but they help me. So I'm always like saying them in my mind. One of them is that those who matter don't mind and those who mind don't matter, which is so true. And I sometimes have to repeat that to myself. Like when I'm scared about doing something or I'm worried about saying something, I remind myself that like the people who matter aren't going to be thinking about these things that I'm worried about. They'll be hearing the message and they'll be taking in what they should
Mhm.
take in. And the people who do have a problem with it, like that's their problem, honestly. And you just have to remind yourself too that no, like there's nothing, literally nothing in this entire world that everybody agrees on. There's not one single issue, factor, thing that everyone agrees on. You will always have naysayers, no matter what you do. So for me, my rule is to just like really know the intent that I'm coming from and to be as clear as possible with my message and then just put it out there or with my choices. And then people can take it as it will. And sometimes people are like, yeah, and sometimes people hate it and that's their problem. Depending on like what the subject is or what's going on, then, maybe I'm open for conversation. But at the end of the day, everybody is worthy. Every single person has worth. And every single person has knowledge. And I really got that lesson from, this is a silly example, but really from Legally Blonde, the movie, because she, what is it? Oh, when they were speaking in like the courtroom, right? And if you've seen it, she was
Yes.
like blonde, just blonde, and they're having a courtroom thing, and she's asking her stuff about like the perm, and she knows like the ins and outs of it because it's something that has been important to her. And I don't know why, but for some reason that just sort of clicked in my mind that like everybody has something that they probably have an extensive knowledge on. So even if it's not something you find interesting or you find worthy, it doesn't mean that other people don't. So like people might look at fashion and be like, oh, they're ditzy. Well, no, if they're doing it right, they have a lot of knowledge in that area. Like that person who's like a hunter or a farmer, like, oh, there's some hick. Like, no, you really have to have knowledge to do hunting well and farming well. Like everybody has a story, everybody has knowledge, every single person has worth, including you. So just like, for me, I just remind myself of that and then remind myself of the people who are meant to take in that message will take it in.
That's amazing and beautiful because it's building confidence for
Mhm.
others, and you're such a good example for people to look to have this confidence and find your voice. And so how can people follow you to, you know, get more connected with you in your journey?
The fastest way is I like live on Instagram. So my Instagram, and actually I love that you said that, you like the different content because that was something I struggled with in the beginning as well. Cause people always want you to find like a niche, like, well,
Hmm.
what are you going to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but I don't want to be boxed into a certain area. Like I am versatile. I mean, I get that it means that I may not like grow as fast as other people, but I'm okay with that because growth and follower isn't my purpose. Like impacting people is my purpose. And like
Hmm.
having someone go like, I totally connected with that. So it means a slower growth, but I'm totally okay with that because I don't feel boxed in. Like one day I can have a dancing video and one day I can talk about mental illness and one day I can talk about refugees. And then, the other day I had like a game morning where we played games and had cereal, but that's my personality. And I like that it's broad. So if you follow me on Instagram, you can see all of that. I'm on YouTube as well. I'm trying to get better about posting more often on my personal YouTube. And Twitter, I just tweet about reality shows. So if you want to hear my opinions on reality shows, I'm on Twitter.
Which
But
who
yeah,
doesn't love to
Instagram's the best
talk
way.
trash TV, right?
Oh, yes, I love it.
And you were at that African butterfly.
Yes,
That is your
yes,
handle.
sorry, yes, that African butterfly.
Yeah. So I want to learn more about what is Every Man Counts that you're a part of.
Every Man Counts is actually a nonprofit my sister started, my older sister. It's just to help men in the community. It really started more on the ends of helping them in court because she is a moderator or a mediator. So people would go to her for mediation, and she would see that often like the guys weren't prepared enough, and like they love their kids and want to spend time with their kids, but they don't have all the tools necessary to come into court fully prepared. And court's already a system that's biased towards women and moms. Obviously, as a woman and mom, I'm like, yeah. But the truth is, you need men to really have a full family unit to have both sides of it. And it's funny because my personal platform is so much about women empowerment. It's like, well, how can you be the executive of a man's organization? I'm like, because if we help get the men straight, they'll stop stressing us out so much.
Amen.
Like I'm on the inside trying to do the work. So yeah, I really enjoy that. Like just bringing, like I have someone who gives like relationship advice on the page now, and on Wednesdays they give advice just to build character, things like that. We've done docs on fatherhood. So we do a lot of things about just helping men be better versions of themselves, and also especially helping them in the family unit. Before COVID shut down, we had like father-daughter tea parties, fishing with the dad, stuff like that. So hopefully we'll be bringing those back again soon.
I love that so much because family is so important. And especially after the hellish year plus, who knows how
Yeah.
many years it's been at this point, but we all just need to get reconnected. And that doesn't matter if it's male, female, non-binary, it doesn't matter.
Right.
We just need each other right now. And you're just one of these voices that are out there just really connecting us all back together and bringing joy and sharing your story, which is going to help others share their stories. So I appreciate you so much. And thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to ask you, and I always like to ask this question, your 5-year, I don't even want to say plan or goal, but just where do you see yourself in 5 years, both, you know, professionally and in your personal life?
So my 5-year goal, I'm about to turn 35 in a few months actually. So for my 40th, I would like to be entering the next decade of my life in a life that's really set up, mostly virtual, because I love traveling. I want to travel all the time, and not just like visit places, like live in little spots all the time. So I hope by that point, I will have written and published at least one of my books. I have a children's series in my head that I just need the time to put to paper. So I hope that I will have written and published that. Definitely hope I'm out of corporate America by then. I hope that my show, More Than My Size, is doing well, because I think it's really important. That's the YouTube series and also podcasts that you mentioned earlier that I do with my friend Alicia, because a lot of times, you know, as you mentioned, like with plus size women or people in general, it's like, oh, they're so lazy, oh, they do nothing. But like, we both do a lot, a lot of things. Like I do things in the career side, so does Alicia, plus she has a family. So I think it's important to give voices to women who are not apologetic about her size and also taking charge. So I hope in 5 years that that's still around and still doing well. And I really hope that my National Plus Guide has just taken off, because that's my baby. I came up with the concept a couple years ago when I moved to a new city, when I moved to Delaware, because trying to find a doctor who's not fat phobic is very difficult, because they all instantly just want to say lose weight. And not that that's not important, but like my elbow isn't going to be better if I lose weight, but like that's how they treat it often.
Right.
So I was like, I wish I had a place where I could just go and get recommendations of like, this person's, is not fat phobic, or like this, here are plus size boutiques in your area. So
Yeah.
I couldn't find that, so I decided to create that. So that's basically what National Plus Guide is. It's a directory for all things plus positive. So we're growing that right now, and I hope in 5 years it really is a resource that people can go to and be like, oh, okay, I'm traveling, like what hotels have like decent sized beds and decent sized showers, like what boutiques can I go to, what restaurants have seatings. And even from that, I also want it to be like a platform just to spread positivity about being plus size. You know, like we just started this new series. I'm really excited. We're recording the first episode because we do lives on that page as well, just to spread awareness. But we're doing a plus love series, because I went to the page. Have you seen the page like Somebody's Son, or Me
I
and
have
Somebody's
not.
Son? it's just a page of like cute couple stuff, and it'll be like me and someone's son. But like I scrolled and scrolled and scrolled and found almost no plus size people. And I know for me growing up, I always thought like, oh, I'm too fat, no one will love me. And I was much smaller than I am now. But people do love people at all sizes, and people find love at all sizes. But like, where can you really see that? I feel like I had trouble finding it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so let's add that on there. So we've really been reposting and resharing pictures of just plus size people being in love. And so now we're starting a series where we're going to talk to couples and talk about their love stories and share that. So, you know, definitely in 5 years, I hope that it really just is like a hub of positivity, and where people can really go and use it as a resource.
I love this so much. I'm so excited to watch all of your journeys. I
you.
really am. This is very exciting and such, again, great resources for everybody to just tap into and share, because we all know somebody that's plus size, right? Like
Yeah.
we all know somebody, and we all have these important stories to share. And I don't know, just to bring joy to others through being yourself is
Yeah.
such a wonderful, beautiful, refreshing thing. So I just appreciate your just genuine positivity.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really like my core thing is, I think because where I grew up, like in upstate New York, is really like conservative and white and very traditional. And I just felt always like I was other than, you know, like I was struggling with my mental health stuff. I was fatter than everyone else. I was blacker than everyone else. I was an immigrant. I was born in Liberia. So I just felt so strongly like I didn't belong, and like I was the only one like me. And I wasn't. There's tons of people who were going through the same things and the same stuff. And, you know, I wish they had been more vocal back then, so I wouldn't have felt so alone. So like I kind of make it my mission now to be vocal, with the hopes that like someone else who's feeling alone will be like, oh, I'm not alone. Like someone gets it.
Yeah.
And it's not even so much for them to be like, oh, you're amazing. It's like for them to feel like, okay, I can talk about this too because she talked about it. Like that's really like my ultimate purpose and goal.
Just helping others build their own confidence to speak their true voice.
Yep.
Amazing. So everybody, make sure you are following That African Butterfly on basically all social media platforms, and just give her a follow. She's going to teach you so many things, and you're going to learn and just grow and laugh along with us, because she's always a good time.
Thank you.
So thank you so much again for joining me, and we can't wait to just follow along with your journey.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And I love your page and I love your content. And if you ever need guest writers, also let me know. But I absolutely love you guys. So thank you.
No, thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
So much love in this heart of mine.